that we have from Paul, and as it pertains to Ananias when all this went down. And so when Paul was still not saved, when he was still an unbeliever, Jesus confronted him on his way to Damascus. You guys remember that story. In Acts 9, he says in verse number 4, "He fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? He said, Who art thou, Lord?" In other words, are you God? The Lord said, "I am Jesus whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks." So he knew he was convicted. The Lord has been convicting him for a season now. And he, trembling, astonished, said, "Lord, what wilt thou have me to do?" The Lord said unto him, "Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do." Now look at there. Must do. You're going to do something now, Paul. So then he goes down and talks to Ananias. And here we have this interaction that Jesus confirms with another fellow named Ananias. And here's what he tells him concerning the call, if you will, the what he must do that he stated earlier. He said, "Arise, go into the street, which is called Straight, inquire in the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus, for behold, he prayeth, and hath seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming and putting his hand on him that he might receive his sight." But Ananias, much like a lot of Christians would be, a little fearful. "Hey, Jesus, don't you know this guy that you're asking me to pray for? Don't you know how much evil he's done against Christians? Are you sure?" The Lord said, "Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me," now watch this, "to bear my name before the Gentiles, kings, the children of Israel, for I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake." Do you see that? So what do we observe here? The Jesus who showed up and said, "I am Jesus," the one who said he must fulfill a thing, is going to fulfill that thing, and these Hebrews are not going to stop him. What are some applications for us here today? When you got saved, the Lord gave you some gifts to use. He gave you a calling and a plan and a purpose, and the enemy ain't going to be able to stop you until it's time for you to go. So just trust in God. Believe that his way is going to work out, not your way, not your power. Just do it his way. He will see you through it unto the end of your course. In Acts 22, verse 8, when Paul recounts this account, he says, what the Lord stated to him was, "I am Jesus of Nazareth." And then later on, Acts 26:15, "I am Jesus whom thou persecutest." That phrase, Jesus of Nazareth, is found in 21 verses within our King James Bible. We're not going to go through all of them tonight for the sake of time, but just know that's very important. Because, again, one of the main things that these Hebrews had to deal with was that man of Nazareth who is being proclaimed as resurrected from the dead. So throughout the book of Acts here, as we're almost done with this whole book, the one thing that we can identify is that Jesus was fulfilling the plan he had made with Paul, or he had for Paul, that he would send him unto all men. Let's go now to Acts chapter number 22. And let's just remind ourselves of these verses, because Acts 25 is going to be pretty and fairly easy to read through, as there's not necessarily much other than just the court case and getting ready for Acts 26, which is kind of like the bigger deal, if you will, concerning that. So let's go ahead and reread that together. Acts 24, and go down with me to verse number 14 through 15. What's unique is, again, here we have Paul that's just rehearsing the testimony that Ananias told him. Remember that back in Acts 9? So in this account, look at what we read, a little bit of other details that we didn't really get in Acts chapter 9. That's what we call progressive revelation, God giving us a little bit further light more into the Bible. Look at here in verse number 13. So he's just telling these folks before him of the testimony of Ananias. "Came unto me and stood and said unto me, Brother Saul, receive thy sight. In the same hour I looked upon him, and he said, The God of our fathers hath chosen thee, that thou shouldest know his will, and see that just one, and shouldest hear the voice of his mouth." Now watch this. "For thou shalt be his witness unto all men of what thou hast seen and heard." So again, we didn't really see that in Acts chapter 9. We didn't really see that little detailed account concerning what he was going to do or what he was expected to accomplish